That's what I'm talking about. Just give me that energy, baby. Give me that energy. Hey, everyone. This is Tony Reeves, and I want to welcome you to another edition of Easy, but Not So Easy, where today we're going to talking about we are going to talking about, as I'm hooked on phonics, we are going to talk about what it means and the impact of withholding your perspective. Now, before we get started, let me kind of set the scenario up for you. What do I mean by withholding your perspective? Now, I can say it from the personal, but let's focus on the professional environment. So let's say that you find yourself in a work environment where the people around you ask for your feedback. You're all, whether it be power meetings or open discussions, they ask for your feedback. And you made the decision that for whatever reason, you just ain't sharing. No, you ain't got nothing to say. Nope. And so when setting up the scenario, I'm not saying that you sporadically do it. I mean, you make it an active practice to not share your perspective, where you just like, I ain't got nothing to say. They don't need to hear nothing from me. All right, nothing wrong. Got you. That's how you want to get down. That's how you get down. So let's talk about the easy but the not so easy reasons or not so easy things that you should think about when you make that decision in a professional setting. Let's talk with the easy first. First, it does give you an air of mystery. And what do you mean by mystery? Well, because they don't know what your thoughts are, they really don't know how to gauge whether it's something that you think is positive, whether it's something that you think is negative, whether it's something that you have feedback that you think would be beneficial to help improvement. They don't know anything. And so as a result, they don't know how to read you. Therefore, they don't know how to determine whether if what you're doing or what they're suggesting or what they're talking about is something that's meaningful, or at least to you. So that's the first part about it. The other thing is it doesn't lock you into a perspective. Sometimes there are people who wear their opinions on their sleeves. I mean, they always got 2 or 3 cents to say about everything. And there are probably some of us that sit here and say, yeah, maybe you should keep your mouth shut. I only hear all that extra commentary. And so if you are worried that once you open your mind, because there's this famous phrase that says it's better for the world for you to think you're stupid than you to open your mouth and remove all doubt. It's a nice, effective way is if somebody is just making an assumption about you, they don't know definitively until you open your mouth and you definitively confirm their perspective of you. So what you decide to do is you say, I check it. I'm just not going to say anything. So the person really never knows what your perspective is on something. So therefore, you never get locked into a perspective. So if you say something and they're like, well, that's how they feel about it, and you worry that that's how they're always going to view you from that lens, now you've put yourself in a position where you say, all right, bet it up. You don't know where I come from, so you never have to lock me into to a particular perspective. Sorry about that. Also, it possibly protects you. Well, what do you mean by possibly protects you? If you're dealing with people who are professionally petty or vindictive or always thinking that you're out to get them, sometimes if they can't read you because they don't know what you're thinking because you don't say anything, it protects you because they don't know how to come at you. I've dealt with situations where I have been in places where I haven't said anything and people have literally say, if I say too much, they get nervous. But then if I don't say anything, they really get nervous. You're like, what you get nervous for? Because you don't say anything. Well, I don't need to say anything. And it's because I am protecting myself, because if I look at you and you are acting a particular certain way, and that which is confirming to me that I can't trust you per se, or I don't necessarily think you have my best interest at heart, I'm going to not allow you to take my words and use my perspective against me in any way, shape, or form. So from an easy standpoint, an air of mystery, it doesn't lock you into a perspective, and it can protect you. But let's also talk about the not so easy parts of this. First, the people around you lose valuable insight. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you may have some powerfully profound things to share. When you make the conscious effort to not share those things, the people around you lose. They lose because they don't get your insight. They don't hear what you have to say. So sometimes when you hear people, they keep pressing, like, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? They're not being nosy all the time. They legitimately don't know what you're thinking, and they legitimately believe that if you shared your perspective, it could make the situation better. So keep in mind, they lose the ability to get your valuable insight. Also, you lose your ability to contribute. Why? Because after a while, people stop asking you. If you continually to never have anything to say, then what you risk the possibility is that people, I'm not going to say they ignore you, they just kind of go around you because they've already ascertained that expecting any feedback from you is silly because you never contribute. So the reality is that maybe you don't want to be completely excluded. But what they've done is that they've effectively said to you, well, you know what? Since you've demonstrated a pattern of not wanting to provide insight, why would we waste our time engaging you since you've determined to us that you don't have anything to share anyway? So in addition to losing valuable insight, you also lose the ability to contribute. Because you don't contribute at any point in time, they expect you not to contribute, so why bother you? Which goes to my third point, expectation. Because they know that, because not only do you never contribute, not only do they know they can't get valuable insight from you, not only do you lose the ability, you now create this expectation where they don't even worry about you having to say anything because you never say anything. And so now you're in a situation where when people are like, well, when they talk to you offline and you're like, oh man, they should have done this. Why didn't you say something? Well, they didn't come to me. Well, you never say anything. So why would they come to you? And now you're mad. Like, no, don't be mad. Don't be mad. You created the expectation that there's nothing that you plan on providing. So just as I provided the 3 positives, keep in mind the three negatives as well in terms of the not so easies. Losing valuable insight, losing the ability to contribute, and the expectation that you won't speak. So what does this mean in the final scheme of things? If you're not going to speak, and let me pause, if you're not going to contribute your perspective in a professional arena, be strategic. And sometimes I've told people sometimes this. I'm like, listen, say something sometimes, but just be strategic about it. So that this way, when they know you have something to say, you have put some thought-provoked thoughts into what you're about to say. I have one of my best friends in the world tickles me because he says that he rarely speaks, but when he does speak, he makes sure it's the most thought-provoking speech he can provide because he is setting the standard that when he speaks, it's going to always be profound. So if you want to create a culture by which you do occasionally contribute, create that environment. You don't want to be the person who never speaks all the time because you may be kind of hurting yourself in the long run. The biggest thing that you need to be mindful of is whatever you do, make sure that you are strategic in how you share your perspective. All right, everyone. Again, thank you for tuning in to another edition of Easy, but Not So Easy. As always, you can check me out at anthonyreeves.com and find me on all across various platforms, both social media platforms as well as the listening platforms for your various podcasts. I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in as always, and I have to end the show with my favorite question of the day. Are you ready for the Anthony Reeves experience?